Hollywood's golden age was filled with legends, but few shined as brightly as Gene Kelly. His charming on-screen presence, groundbreaking choreography, and effortless dance moves made him an icon. But behind the scenes, his life was far from the picture-perfect musicals that defined his career. And now, after 30 years of silence, his widow is finally revealing shocking details about their controversial romance, the family drama it caused, and why some of his co-stars left sets covered in bruises. It was 1985 when Patricia Ward first met the Hollywood legend. She was just 26, stepping into what she thought was a simple job interview. But what unfolded next was something no one saw coming. Gene Kelly, 47 years her senior, wasn't just looking for an employee. He found an unexpected connection that would change both of their lives. Their romance raised eyebrows, sparked rumors, and now, decades later, Patricia is telling all. Gene Kelly wasn't born into Hollywood royalty. He was a working-class kid from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, born on August 23, 1912, to a family struggling to make ends meet. His father, James, was a traveling salesman, barely making $75 a week, while his mother, Harriet, was determined to give her 5 children a better future. She believed dance and music were the keys to success, but young Gene had no interest. In fact, he hated it. At just 8 years old, Gene was enrolled in dance classes but quit after a few lessons, embarrassed by the idea that boys shouldn't dance. But his mother didn't back down. She worked at a local dance school and kept encouraging him until, at 14, something shifted. He finally saw dance in a different light. Not as something delicate, but as something that demanded the same strength and precision as his favorite sport, baseball. From that moment, there was no turning back. But just as his passion for dance ignited, the Great Depression hit. His family's financial struggles forced Gene to drop out of college, and instead of chasing dreams, he worked odd jobs, pumping gas, laying bricks, anything to make ends meet. But at night, he and his brother Fred found solace in performing at nightclubs and talent shows, earning extra cash while perfecting their craft. By the time he turned 20, Gene wasn't just dancing, he was teaching, co-founding the Gene Kelly Studio of Dance in Pittsburgh. His unique style made the studio a massive success, drawing in over 150 students a year. But Pittsburgh wasn't enough. Gene wanted more. In 1938, he took a leap of faith and moved to New York City. The competition was brutal, and at first, he worked behind the scenes choreographing small productions. But it wasn't long before Broadway took notice. His blend of athleticism and grace was unlike anything audiences had ever seen. Then, in 1940, everything changed. He landed the lead role in Pal Joey, a performance that left critics stunned. Hollywood had their eyes on him, but Gene wasn't ready to leave Broadway just yet. He had more to prove. When he finally made the transition to Hollywood, it wasn't smooth sailing. Signing with MGM, he found himself stuck in limbo until he was paired with Judy Garland in For Me and My Gal, 1942. It was Garland herself who insisted he get the role, recognizing something special in him. But tensions ran high behind the scenes. Director Busby Berkeley's rigid choreography clashed with Gene's vision. He wanted dance to feel natural, effortless. Audiences, however, were captivated. And that first film proved one thing. Gene Kelly wasn't just a dancer. He was a star. Then came Cover Girl, 1944, the film that showcased his true genius. In one unforgettable sequence, he danced alongside a ghostly version of himself, a groundbreaking moment in cinematic history. This wasn't just performance, it was innovation. Suddenly, MGM trusted him with more creative control. and Gene seized the opportunity. His next project? Anchors Away, 1945, where he danced with an animated character, Jerry Mouse from Tom and Jerry. But Gene's perfectionism wouldn't allow for anything less than brilliance. Yet behind the smiles and dazzling routines, there was a darker side. His perfectionism extended beyond himself, often making him relentless toward his co-stars. Stories of bruised arms and harsh rehearsals circulated. But was it all just dedication, or was there something more? And what about his personal life, the complicated romance that shook Hollywood? Patricia Ward is finally shedding light on the truth. Gene Kelly's vision for musicals went beyond entertainment. He wanted Hollywood to see them as serious art. Determined to change the industry's perception, he worked tirelessly to promote An American in Paris during the Oscar season, ensuring voters recognized its artistic brilliance. His efforts paid off when the film took home the Academy Award for Best Picture, a landmark moment proving musicals could be just as powerful as any drama. But Kelly wasn't satisfied with just changing perceptions. He wanted to push the boundaries of filmmaking itself. His 1949 film On the Town, co-directed with Stanley Donen, broke new ground by filming on real city streets instead of studio sets. This decision brought a fresh, vibrant energy to the story of three sailors on a 24-hour leave in New York City. And its signature tune, New York, New York, became an instant classic. Yet, behind Kelly's charm and dazzling performances was a relentless perfectionist whose drive often made life miserable for his co-stars. No one knew this better than Debbie Reynolds, who at just 19 was cast alongside him in Singin' in the Rain, one of the greatest musicals ever made. But her experience on set was anything but glamorous. Kelly was unimpressed with her lack of dance training, pushing her through grueling rehearsals that left her physically and emotionally drained. The Good Morning dance sequence alone took 15 hours to film, and by the end, her feet were bleeding. At one point, she collapsed under a piano, overwhelmed with exhaustion. MGM executives even suggested methamphetamine injections to keep her going, an eerie reminder of how Judy Garland had been treated years earlier. Reynolds refused, determined to survive the ordeal on her own terms, but she wasn't the only one who clashed with Kelly. Esther Williams, cast in Take Me Out to the Ball Game, endured open hostility from both Kelly and Donen, who resented her presence in the film. They belittled her every move, dismissing her as miscast and making it clear she didn't belong. But Williams held her ground, proving she was more than just a swimmer-turned-actress. Meanwhile, Sid Charisse, though full of admiration for Kelly's talent, learned the hard way how physically demanding working with him could be. Whenever she came home covered in bruises, her husband immediately knew she had been filming with Kelly. His insistence on perfection meant he expected his partners to push their limits, sometimes at the cost of their well-being. While his on-set relationships were fraught with tension, his personal life was just as complicated. His first marriage to Betsy Blair lasted 16 years, but it was plagued by Hollywood's paranoia during the McCarthy era. Blair's leftist political views led to her being blacklisted, and the immense pressure took a toll on their marriage. By 1957, they divorced, and Blair moved to Europe, where she continued acting. Then came Gene Coyne, a dancer who had previously been married to Donen. Their relationship created an irreparable rift between Kelly and Donen, ending one of Hollywood's most iconic creative partnerships. Yet despite the scandal, Kelly and Coyne's marriage was strong, until tragedy struck in 1973, when Coyne died of leukemia at just 50 years old. Devastated, Kelly withdrew from the limelight, focusing on raising their children instead of chasing new projects. Their relationship raised eyebrows due to their 47-year age gap, but they ignored the controversy. By 1990, they were married, and she remained by his side until his death in 1996. Even in his final years, Kelly's reputation remained a subject of debate. Stories about his demanding nature persisted, with some remembering him as a genius, while others saw him as a tyrant. Debbie Reynolds never forgot how difficult he had been, and Donen had nothing good to say about him.